me look at my page, make sure it is working. Refresh my Facebook page, make sure that's working. You guys can hear me clearly. So we're going to be going live here. All right, so it looks like we are we streaming? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? All right, so it looks like we are there. We want to go down to this particular, where's my slide that talks about the three-way call? All right, so we want to go down to this one. We're going to do a slideshow, and we're going to go from this particular slide. Welcome, everybody. Those of you that are looking at us on Facebook, those of you that are looking live, we're going to talk tonight about the power of the three-way call. I am Coach JP, and I'm excited to share with you right now. I want to give you a tip, right? The whole idea is about, giving you the success of the three-way call. So now, if you don't have a designated notebook, if you don't have your pen, let's go ahead and grab that. But the whole idea is to make sure each and every one of you have the ability to literally be able to do a three-way call. So what exactly is the three-way call? Let's talk about just this one specific tip that I want to, is underutilized, really. A lot of people forget to do it. It is a skill set that we need, but I'm going to tell you it's not utilized enough. But if you did use it effectively, what you're going to find is in this particular platform, it's very simple. It brings more people into your organization, but it also creates duplication. So we work our business, in three different ones. One is to expose. We've got to expose people. You got to get people to look at the information. Massive exposures, right? We talked about inviting. We've talked about, launch parties and stuff like that. You want to expose, right? You got to expose your business. Now, when we go to number two, we're talking about massive, recruiting. If that's your thing, you got to put them in it's kind of like running the bases. They've got to go around the bases, right? One of the things is to find out what it is that they want, what it is that they need, right? What it is that they don't want. You kind of, part of the process, and I want to talk to you, I'm going to talk about a three-way that I did earlier today. But the next piece is that follow-up. It's critical. We talked about that. If you say you're going to do it, right, you want to go ahead and do it. If you say you want to do it on time, but I want to specifically talk about with the follow-up right now, doing a three-way call. So the first thing that you need to know, the first thing that you got to understand, there has to be an objective. So number one, why are you doing the call, right? Number one, you're either looking to get somebody that wants to be a customer or somebody that wants to be part of your team, or you're looking for a referral. There are only three outcomes, right? There are only three outcomes. Either they want the product, they want to build a business, or they want to be a referral. So that's the purpose of going ahead and doing a three-way call. So first and foremost, you're going to want to understand that this particular call is kind of one of those things that maybe the person you're talking to has gone through and they qualified to actually be on a three-way call. So they have, in most cases, they have actually seen some information. They've been on a conference call, right? Whatever it is, right? Maybe you walk them through your back office, whatever it is, right? But they didn't get started immediately. That's no big deal. We talked about that. 5 to 12 touches. The fortune, though, is in the follow-up. Remember, you're going to have a very small percentage of people that sign up on the spot. It's all right, right? That is all right. It is really okay. But when we talk about this is work, right? So you want to keep notebooks. You want to keep a list of people, what they, where they are in the process. I got them on a launch call. I got them on a webinar. I got them on a Super Saturday. It may be 5 to 12 touches. So it's your responsibility to get them from point one, your list, all the way to where you resolve it. Where one of three ways you can resolve it. One of three ways. They're either going to get your product, they're going to be a partner to build a team, or a referral. Some people won't do anything. It's okay. We're not going to talk about those yet. We're going to have a whole separate training on that. But so we're not worried about the people who say, No, but the people who didn't say no, the people who just didn't get in. But how do you increase people joining your team, right, if they didn't get started? So number two, right? Number two, now that they've gone through the process, they've seen some information, they kind of qualified to get on the call with your senior partner. It doesn't always have to be the person who's a big pen in your company, right? I'll tell you about the one earlier today. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you find out what are their areas of concern. So I'm going to take this word objections out right here because that's kind of a negative word. So we're going to say, what is their area of concern? What's keeping them? So what you got to do, you got to find out, right? You got to be quiet. You got to listen. Look, Judge Judy says we got 2 ears, right? So what are their areas of concern? What is holding them up? What is not allowing them to move forward, right? So what I want to do is I want to just kind of share, like maybe it's the end of a launch call, right? They say, well, I need to see more about your back office, or I need to see more about your product, or I need to understand more about building. What is it that is their area of concern as to the reason why tonight's not the night to pull the trigger? But you kind of got to remember, people will give you a smoke screen, right? They're never going to give you 100% of the truth, right? They're not going to tell you everything. So that's why you ask questions. Nobody needs to think about earning, 4, 5, 6 figures a year. Nobody's got to think about that, right? Or, you know what I mean? What they're saying is that there is something, right, that either we haven't built enough value, something that didn't connect, right? That's why taking them from one event to the next event is important. But you got to ask questions, and then you got to listen. Don't battle with them. Don't be like, well, you should, and why don't you see? I mean, listen, everybody, right? Everybody comes through at their own pace, 5 to 12 touches, right? So if they do say, okay, well, I need to think about it. Okay, that's fantastic. I understand I had to do the same thing. But is it in the area of finances? Is it in the area of not understanding? Just ask questions, right? Just ask a bunch of questions. Because, family, your next step is to be able to get with the person on the phone and actually schedule a 3-way call. Like, in other words, earlier today, one of our champions, she actually, she gotten on the phone and done the follow-up. And so after her launch event, right? After her launch event, what we did was I said, well, make sure you get back with the people, find out if they A, want the product, B, want the business, or C, want both, whatever it is. And so this morning she sent me a text, and it had there were 4 guests, and it went on to show the 4 times that we were actually going to get on. And so with one of them, right, I was actually able to elicit somebody else, because they asked about the product. It was something I didn't really know. So I was able to, even though this person only focuses on the product and I'm the builder person, I don't know nothing about it. Does that make sense? And so he was actually able to answer some questions that I was not able to answer. On the other token, with the other person that she had actually referred, this particular person had told her, well, listen, I'm excited, but I can't do it right now because I've got A, B, C, and D. So my question to you is, who are we getting on the phone? Somebody who has a little bit more experience than you do, but it's okay to reach out to somebody who may know more in an area that you don't. Does that make sense? It doesn't have to be anybody specifically, but they validate what we're doing. They can address the concern, right? But the whole idea of the 3-way call is that this is 3 parts. So A, we've got the rep. B, we've got the prospect, right? And then C, we've got the person that's doing the 3-way call. Sometimes we call it the expert. So it looks something like that, right? It looks something like that, right? There's you, it's the expert, and it's your prospect. So now when you set the appointment, okay, it could be somebody that's spanking brand new, like earlier today when Mr. Anderson was able to help. He's spanking brand new, but he knows more than I know, right? Or it could be somebody that's a big, that's done really, really well. It doesn't have to be somebody that's been around forever and 55 days. The whole idea is somebody that can deliver confidence. They can edify you back, right? It's not like trying to explain everything. The whole idea, right? We're not trying to do the presentation again, right? We want them to have come through the presentation, and then you actually set up, right, the three-way. So now, when we get them on, one of the reasons we want, now sometimes, and I will tell you, I'm not that type of person where if they haven't seen information, I won't talk to them. That's not my genre. If you're having, like, you're not sure how to get them to your presentation or how to get them to, or look at your video or whatever, I'm good with talking to them. I am so good with that. As a matter of fact, I was on with a young lady out of New York this past Saturday, and her barber, right? And her barber wanted, she hadn't been able to invite him, so she wanted me to see if I could figure out how to get him invited. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to say to you, if they haven't seen the information, I don't want to talk to them. That's not my genre. But I am talking to you today about if they have seen it. Does that make sense? So we're talking about today if they've actually seen the information. So the whole idea is to let the prospect know, okay, I know we're supposed to get together. We're going to talk about some areas of concern. You were thinking about it, okay? So set it up in the. I like to do the, and you guys have heard the training on like how we do. You set the follow up in the invite. Hey, listen, we're going to have the webinar tomorrow. What would be the best time to connect with you? Tomorrow after the webinar or the next day? Does that make sense? I like to bam fam before the meeting, okay? But sometimes you don't get a chance to do that. You want to bam fam, which is book a meeting after the meeting, after the presentation. But either way, you want to make sure that you're going to do a follow-up. You're going to do that three-way call. You want to make sure that follow-up is within 24 to 48 hours max. You wait 2 to 3 weeks, guys, they don't know what you're talking about. They don't remember you. They may not remember anything that they've seen. So time is of the essence, which is why you want to make sure, right, that you have a calendar, right? Don't delay the process. 24 to 48 hours is as far out as you want to book that follow-up. Now call them. Like I was called today. She let me know that about the young lady that was on last night. She let me know that she was thinking about waiting, right? She let me know she was thinking about waiting. She liked what she saw, but she was thinking about waiting, right? So I had a little bit of background information. So for whoever the person is that's doing your three-way, let them know the areas of concern that the person may have. In this case, she said, I'm not going to be able to do anything for a few weeks or maybe a month, right? So for me, in my mind, I already knew how to ease that area of concern. So equip the person who's doing your three-way with the information that Joe may be concerned about. That way the expert, right? That way the expert can dispel it. They can help ease that person's concern. So make sure, here's another thing. If we could be the best friends. I mean, we could be like best boys, best girls, whatever. When we get on the call, right, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you use the proper terminology. So even though it may be your best friend, you may want to say, Miss Parker or Mr. Boone or Mr. Goodman, whatever the case may be, even though you guys are close. Now, the person doing the three-way would be like, stop playing. You ain't got to call me that. You know I'm Gerald. That's how Pastor going to say. Because if I call him Pastor, he going to say I'm Gerald, right? But either way, you want to, you get them on the phone. You got to make sure that phone call is where you edify and lift, right, the person who's actually going to be doing that three-way call. So, when I get on the phone, so maybe that person said, I kind of like what I'm looking at. I really, the situation with this crisis has really just, put myself, my family, and my eye in what I feel like is a volatile situation. It's just that it's not something I can do right now, and I'm not sure if this is for me. Does that make sense? Those things are the things you want to make sure that we know, right? Let us know those things. So when we get on the call, when we actually get on the call, right, we want to make sure that we're going to say something like, listen, I know how you feel. So y'all write that down. It's called Feel, Felt, Found, right? This is the magic of the person doing the three-way call. I know how you feel, right? I felt the same way. Now, in the case earlier today, I had felt the same way because I started and I stopped and then I started again, right? So I do understand how they feel. I felt the same way, but let me tell you what I found. Now, of course, if you're doing a three-way call, it's not like, say, for example, that is not what happened with you. You don't tell an untruth. Say, listen, I know how you feel. My mentor, my best friend, one of my partners felt the same way, but let me tell you what they found. So if it's not you or in some way that you felt, then just, say that it's somebody else. So, but what you want to do is you want to bond with them. But listen, what I found is that just by going ahead and getting myself set up right now, which is kind of what I said to her, that things can have happened inside of your organization. You can refer people to us even while you're busy, right? I like to use the basketball thing that your prospects are basketballs and you're the point guard and all you're doing is bring them up the court. I like using that one, but not everybody understands that. But listen, but things could have happened for your business, right? But let's start at the beginning of the call. So let's just say, and some people do the edification. So I kind of jumped ahead of myself. Let me come back. Some people do the edification before they get the expert on the phone. So, hey, Jackie, this is Janice. Listen, I'm so excited you're going to meet Mr. Bob today on the call. But let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Bob. He is somebody that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Somebody that has done a whole lot for his community. Somebody that loves and cares about people, but is a top earner inside of this company, or has positioned themselves to be a top earner in this company. One of the reasons I wanted you to actually meet this particular person, because, he's somebody that loves to help people. He's somebody that, he cares about people. He's somebody that literally has the information. So you can either do that before you get Mr. Bob on the phone, or you can do that after you get Mr. Bob on the phone. Check with the person who is going to be doing your three-way call to find out when you would do it. Does that make sense? Now, here is what's really important. So remember, it is going to be you, the prospect, and the expert. Y'all got that? Okay. So now, let's just say you did it while they were on the phone, okay? Earlier today, Mr. Anderson said, Mrs. Anderson, she said, what do you want me to say as far as your intro? And what I said was just speak from the heart. Because I think sometimes, going through the bullets are great, but I want you to say it where it's coming from your heart, right? That where it's not a scripted intro as much as it is a conversational, this is how I feel about the person intro. So did a great job with that. But here's the thing. So once you introduce a person and you share, okay, so Miss Jackie, she's concerned about the fact that she's going to be busy for the next 30 days. Should she get started now or wait till she finish everything that she's going to do? And I just wanted you to kind of just share with her what you would, what your perspective is on what we're doing or whatever case may be. So the key thing is after you've turned the call, family, who knows what you're supposed to do after you turn the call over to the person who is the expert? Does anybody want to tell me in the chat what is the most critical thing you're supposed to do? They shut up, be quiet. Y'all go ahead. That's exactly right. Rhonda, be quiet. That's exactly right. You want to make sure that you be quiet, right? This is not the time to say, hey, tell her about this, Mr. Bob. Hey, tell her about that, Mr. Bob. Now is the time, Terry, that you want to be quiet. And listen, you don't feel like you can be quiet, mute your phone. That's exactly right. Mute. That's what Tamala said. That's exactly right. Mute your phone. Why? Because, family, sometimes you get excited and you want to say something. You just feel like they're not telling them everything. They probably don't plan on telling them everything. The other thing that I'm going to tell you is this. Whoever's doing your three-way call may not know the next event that you touch. That's right. May not know the next event you want to get them to. So you want to know in your calendar what's coming next. So tonight is Friday. There's a Super Saturday tomorrow. Let Mr. Bob know that, before you get Miss Jackie on the phone, let him know that there's a Super Saturday tomorrow. I want to make sure she's on that Super Saturday. So he'll know if he doesn't close her right then, how to drive her to that event. Does that make sense, family? So he knows that information, right? You do not interject, Baroness. You absolutely do not. So while Mr. Bob is on the phone, first thing he's going to do is say, well, listen, you know what? Janice said all those great things about me, but what Janice didn't tell you is that she's one of my top recruiters. She's actually very, very coachable. And one of the reasons for all of our success is because of what she do. Whatever that, you got to build him up in the eyes of your prospect, because when he turns around to build you up, if you were shabby, right? If you called him, yeah, this is my boy Bob. Bob, tell her about that thing. She worried about her time and stuff like that. About her time. You can't. No. No. You got to be. Listen. GoPro 7 Steps to Becoming a Professional Network Marketer. Mr. Bob. This is Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie, this is Mr. Bob. He is one of my mentors. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He really loves helping people. As a matter of fact, when my son was having some challenges, he mentored my son a little bit, and I love him for that because it's bigger than business for him. You know what I mean? Whatever. Add that 5. So when Mr. Bob turns around and says something about you, Tammy, he can say, well, listen, Tamlin is just incredibly, incredibly coachable. One of the things I love about her is she's in lockstep with me. She listens, she adheres, but the biggest thing is she loves her team. So you're definitely with the right person. Now Miss Jackie is like, oh, Tamlin got it like that. I didn't know that. Does that make sense? So the better you learn to edify the 3-way call, the more power when they turn the edification back to you that it has on your prospect. Remember, this is a 3-way thing going on here. And so at that point, you'll say, thank you, mute. And so Mr. Bob would say, well, Miss Jackie, nice to meet you. I've heard some very positive things about you, but I do understand that you have, a few causes for concern. And one of those is the fact that you can't get started, until next month. And you're concerned as to whether or not you should go ahead and get yourself in position now, or you should wait till next month. That's your concern. And she'll be like, well, yeah, because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and I like this, and I like that, So the 3-way caller is so critical that the 3-way caller listens to. Does that make sense? Even though Tamlin has already told Mr. Bob what her concern is, Mr. Bob doesn't want to say the concern. He wants to listen to the concern, because if you listen long enough, the person will tell you how to close them. Does that make sense? They're going to tell you how to close them. That's just how it works. So that person has to absolutely listen as well. So after he's listened, he'll say, okay, well, that makes sense. I can understand that. I can see that if you're not going to be ready till next month, you're not sure if now is the time. And so is that your only area of concern? Is there anything else that I might be able to, just kind of address with you now? It's just me, you, and Miss Jackie. Me, you, and Miss Tamlin. Is there anything else? And she might say, well, yeah, I was kind of wondering if I even knew enough people to do something like this, whatever. But just by being empathetic and listening, right, on a 3-way call, you may get the truth. Because, again, the first answer is normally a smoke screen, right? It's normally a smoke screen, okay? So Mr. Bob may say, well, you know what, Miss Jackie, this is, I know kind of how you feel about what you're saying about now or later. And I've felt the way in other situations in my life, maybe not here, but in other situations in my life. But this is what I found, and you probably have found this too, Miss Jackie. There's never a perfect time to get started doing anything. Life keeps coming at you. Things keep happening. You plan on starting this project. You look up, it's 3 months later, it's 6 months later, it's 9 months later. What we have always, or what I've always heard my grandmother say is strike while the iron is hot. There's no time like the present, and no need to put off till tomorrow what we need to get done today. You ever heard anybody say that? Yeah, my grandma used to say that too. Well, that's what I'm saying to you, Miss Jackie. If that is your only area of concern, we can dispel that, because I would say to you, let's go ahead and get you started now. And the reason I would say that is because you're not in business by yourself, in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. A couple of things that you may not know is that, the government actually lets you go back 6 months, with your taxes. So you'll actually have more to write off, right? You'll have, thank you, Shantan. You'll actually have more that you can write off. More months you can write off, even though this is November. So it may help with your taxes. But the other thing is this: you may be, doing whatever you got to do over the course of the next month or so, but you can always refer people to us. We're going to do the work. We'll get the information in front of them, but they'll still end up on your team. Does that sound like something that would make sense to you? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought I had to do it by myself. No. We're in business together. We work together as a group. We work together as a tribe. And so I'm excited that, if you want to go ahead and get started, because I recommend that we go ahead and move forward now. Now, either A, Miss Jackie going to move forward, or B, she's going to say, well, I don't know if I know enough yet. I mean, is there some kind of information you can send me now? Because Tamerlan told Mr. Bob that there's a Super Saturday, right? Bob just said, well, you know, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Tamerlan said that there's a major event happening on tomorrow. Tamerlan, I don't know. And at that time, you can come off mute. If they call your name to kind of come in as part of the three-way, you come off mute. Tamerlan, do me a favor, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to reach out and find out if we still have slots available that we can get Miss Jackie on. Remember, we don't just invite folks to stuff. They got to qualify a little bit, right? So, Miss Jackie, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to have Tamerlan reach out to the administrators of that event and just verify that they still have slots available because, you know, it's limited. Miss Jackie, if Tamerlan can get you on that presentation on tomorrow, do you feel like at noon you could clear your calendar for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours to get on and listen to some information? Could you do that? Now, if Miss Jackie said, well, no, I don't think so. Okay, so well wonderful. Tamerlan, what else is coming up, you know, down the pipe, maybe in the next 48 hours that you and Miss Jackie could do? I could get on the phone with her actually and walk through the back office on Sunday. Miss Jackie, if we could get together on Sunday, could you clear your calendar for about an hour, maybe about 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Yeah, I could do that. Right? Or she'll say, yeah, I can definitely get on tomorrow. Fantastic. Listen, this is what I'm going to have Tamerlan do because I got to hop off here, and it's been a pleasure, Miss Jackie. But Tamerlan, get back with Miss Jackie as soon as you know that there's a slot available. Miss Jackie, if we can get you on the webinar, I can't make you any promises, of course, but if we can get you up there, what Miss Tamerlan is going to actually do is send you those credentials inside of the next couple of hours. But you definitely, if she gets you that information, Miss Jackie, you can definitely be up there tomorrow for sure. And then why don't we just connect at 3 o'clock on Sunday anyway? Fair enough? Okay, I can do that. Does that make sense? So you want to prepare the person who's doing the three-way, right, with something. Now, if he says, Tamerlan, is there anything coming up? Tamerlan might say, well, yeah, I've got a presentation on Sunday at 3 or Sunday at 7, whatever. At that point, you can come off mute and participate. But here's another key point. Once the three-way call is ended, right? And Mr. Bob said, well, listen, Miss Jackie, it was a pleasure for me and Miss Tamerlan to be on the phone with you on this evening, okay? We're going to look forward to, Miss Tamerlan's going to go to work now to see if she can get you on that webinar tomorrow. I'm going to hop off, and hopefully I'll get a chance to see you on the webinar tomorrow, right? So, true or false? The best thing for Tamerlan to do at this moment is to say, okay, Mr. Bob, thank you so much. I appreciate you. It was such a pleasure. I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking out the time. Yes, she should say that. But should she do this? Hold on, Miss Jackie, so we can talk a little bit more. True or false? She should say, hold on, Miss Jackie. I want to finish talking to you. True or false? Let me know. Somebody talk to me in the chat. True or false? True or false? That's exactly right. It is not the time. That's right, Erica. It is not the time for you to be putting in your 2 cents. As soon as he disconnects, you disconnect. Now, Miss Jackie may be like, I would have thought Tamerlan would have kept talking to me, but it's over. Now, then Tamerlan, that's exactly right, Sunshine, false. Irene, that's exactly right. So then Tamerlan in a couple of hours will send her the information for the Super Saturday, but not right then. We got to stop giving our stuff away. People have to say yes and commit in order to get your information. Does that make sense? Master the three-way call, family. Now, is it that Tamerlan could not have closed Jackie herself? No, that's not it. But remember, we're talking about duplication, right? We're talking about the process of duplication. The process of duplication. Listen, from the time you pick up the phone and say, hey, Miss Jackie, this is Tamerlan. Listen, I know we haven't had a chance to talk, but my company is expanding. We're looking for 2 or 3 people that may want to earn an extra $500, $2,000 a month. Do you know 2 or 3 people we could talk to? From that phone call to that three-way call to when you put her in the business instead of her launch call, you are training her. She's watching you. So you got to make sure that you're doing things correctly so that she can do them correctly. So if you blow it on the three-way call, she going to blow it on the three-way call. If you let Mr. Bob hang up and keep talking to her, she's going to let you hang up and keep talking to her prospect because that's what you showed her to do. So you want to make sure that you follow the protocol. You follow the protocol. You follow the protocol because you're teaching her. Now, here's what's going to be funny. She's going to get in. She gets started. And then on a training, right, somebody's going to tell her that same script. that same script, right? And she's going to be like, that's what you did to me, right? But she's going to understand why you did it to her. Does that make sense? And she'll be like, oh, okay, that's why you asked about 2 or 3 people I knew and didn't ask me. I got it now. But then now she knows to do it herself, yes or yes. Does that make sense? Now she knows to follow what you did. She knows that there needs to be a 3-way call. So it's not that Tamala can't close it, right? It's not that she can't close it. She's teaching her team to do the same thing that she does by doing it herself. Does that make sense, family? So the power of the 3-way call is extremely powerful. It is incredibly powerful. That's exactly right, Sunshine. It is incredibly powerful, but you got to execute it. And so if you're going to be the person doing the 3-way call, you want to make sure you know how to do the 3-way call. You got to make sure you know how to do the 3-way call. And if you're going to be the person that, so if you're the person that they're calling to do it, but also if you're the person doing the 3-way call, you got to make sure that you set it up properly. So fortunately, this is being recorded. There are all kinds of, trainings on doing a 3-way call, family, and we'll make sure that you get additional information. Everybody does it just a little bit different, but the key components of it are all the same. The key components of it, family, are all the same. So with that being said, I'm going to actually end the stream. All right, I'm going to end the stream to Facebook.